Oh, dear. Peter Michaels.
Patrick Bateman.
How are you?
Good, you? I feel like it's
Fantastic.
been a while.
It has been a while. It's been a while since we hung out here for the Road the Stage. Last time we had an episode, you did a solo interview with Trevor Hurst.
That's right. You're actually right back here at the back patio.
Yeah,
of
but
Bo's Barn
it wasn't
Stage.
in this
Wasn't in here.
cage.
The cage was still being developed, I think, at that time. But
We're about getting ready to ship overseas.
is this? Maybe this is like a new wrestling thing. We're inside the cage.
Red Deer
Who's
is
gonna get out
trading
first?
4 humans for a load of semiconductors.
It's the Road the Stage podcast with our special guests, the Royal Foundry.
Jared
here
and Beth,
today.
hello,
Jared and
hello.
Beth, hi, guys.
Hello.
So good to see you.
Hello.
So it's funny, we were just having some camera issues before we got rolling. And I actually, for the first time in 2.5 years of doing this podcast, I don't know if, guys, I love you guys so much. I want this to go smoothly. I had a podcast nightmare last night.
Whoa.
I lost sleep over how well this, and honest to God, one of it was some camera issues. The first thing was,
What?
is I knew that, like, it's just the two of you, but for some reason in my nightmare, you brought along like 6 other people. And so we had to have this great big huge table of everybody all around it, and there was trying to figure out how things were going to get filmed, and then I couldn't hear the person that was on the opposite corner of me, and that freaked me out. And then we moved to a different room. And then we got
Holy
about
hell.
halfway through the interview, and I'm like, oh, things are going really good. Things are going really good. And then you got up and noticed that the cap was still on the camera. So, gosh, I hope this goes well.
We could grab 6 people from.
Yeah.
No. That
We
was
could.
no. We don't
can
have to
add
bring a
to
nightmare
the-
to life.
to the-
Do you guys ever have like pre-show nightmares? Pre-tour nightmares? Anything related to your work?
Oh, we have a few cables and one power supply to one of our units that is so specific that if you're in a small enough town, like, you will never find
I
it.
mean, it's happened to us before, and I think that's the recurring
Yeah.
nightmare. Like, it's always like you wake up and you're like, I have to make sure that we have this and this and this
Yeah.
and this.
There's been so many times where we've flown in to do a show, and then that night, even though I knew I checked everything off and like packed it up, I have to set up everything in our
Yeah.
hotel room. And I'm like, all right, it's all here. It's all okay, we're good.
And you
It's-
learned that from previous
Yes.
experiences?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So
fair.
it's like a living nightmare,
Yeah.
one that you've lived, and
Yes.
then you can relive it over and
Yeah.
over and over
So
again.
not a nightmare.
Well, let's
A
talk
good way to
about-
learn.
Just a lot, just our life.
a little bit about the Royal Foundry stage production, because that's one of the things I've noticed about you. It doesn't matter if you're on a smaller stage in a smaller room or a great big stage. You guys put an awful lot into the production, and like even just the visuals that are going out there, right? Like you've got the light kit around the
Yeah.
drum, and you've got the crown lit up. So where did the interest come in that of making sure that you're putting on a visual show as well?
Well, I mean, it just comes from playing with a lot of other bands, and you steal some ideas. And but like, really though, you're inspired, and we've seen other bands with little lighting rigs that it's modular and you can put anywhere, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, that seems great, because you
And
never know what you're
and
getting.
you talk to those bands too, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, that is so cool. Like, they obviously don't have a guy doing their lighting for them. So how did you program it yourself? Like, what did you program with it? And so after years of doing that, you figure out all these different loops and like kind of janky connections to try to like make it work, and then some company in Australia is just like, here you guys go.
Yeah, of course.
And we're like, oh my gosh, we've been trying to figure this out for years. And yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Oh,
Like I
thank
say,
you.
every stage I've seen you guys on and perform on, it's a stunning visual as well as all the audio that's going on too.
It's been a few years since I've seen you as well. Last time would have been here, but like we discussed, probably 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
Too long.
which is crazy. But I know you saw Royal Foundry. When was that?
Was it like a few months ago?
2 or 3
Would
months
have
ago.
February?
been
It was
March.
March.
March?
Yeah.
End of March.
Yeah.
March 29th.
Oh,
So you've got a good
Wow,
idea of what to you've seen a more advanced version of Royal Foundry than I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like I say, I think that's the first time that you guys had that.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the light around the drum and everything, and it's again just on a smaller stage. You don't usually see that kind of spectacle come along with a smaller stage as well,
Yeah.
which is great.
and it takes like going on tour across Canada or even in Europe and playing these smaller stages, and like sometimes they don't have lights, and you're like, well, if you're part of especially like a showcase or even a festival, like you want to be able to like one up your situation You know what I mean? In like the most practical and easy sense. And I think that's where you just have to try and figure things out. Like every time you do a tour, you want to like one up what you did last tour. So you want like new music, but with something visual. And then you want to tie that visual to like maybe the theme of your tour or whatever. So we kind of kept like the circular theme going with like our tour posters and stuff. And then with the album and all that kind of stuff. So it's a fun creative process when you are able to like start from your new work of art and then to just roll with it in a way. And the nice thing about this lighting rig that Jared built, I might add, on his own, and he figured it out on his own, is that you can add to it and you can like change the shape of it, because it's just all like LED lighting and stuff like that. And you have just like, you know, the world is your oyster.
Full customization opportunities.
Were there any artists or shows you went to, you know, maybe when you were a kid or younger, that you looked at the visual of that show and went, I want to do that someday? Like, do you have any
We've talked
inspiration in
about
that?
this a little bit before, I think.
Yeah.
Well-
To say anyone specific would be hard, but
Yeah.
Like Arcade Fire, when they were in Edmonton a few years ago, was the last like big concert we went to. And
Was
they
that the
had-
Reflector tour or the...
no,
it was
everything now.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
They had the
Yeah.
boxing ring, and they like came out. The stage was in the center of like the like on the floor basically, and they came out with robes and like gloves and like went through the crowd, and then eventually over the course of the evening, it was just these 4 posts in each corner that just lit up the ropes. Essentially, there were no ropes; it was just lights, and it was really cool. And then the lights kind of turned into this whole big thing. But that was like a really unique version of like a really fun. Probably had nothing to do with their album or
but-
anything, but it was really.
But the
really
biggest
cool.
thing is having something custom, because it's like stage lights look great and they serve their purpose and they look awesome, but like just adding something that's just a little different, you know, just to-
and gonna stand out, because again,
Yeah.
I can, you know,
Yeah.
that show was 4 months ago, but I can still visually remember
Yeah, for
exactly
sure.
how everything
Yeah.
looked that
Yeah,
night.
and
And I think the first people we saw with something like that was We Are the City. They had some integrated. They're Vancouver based.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had some integrated light thing with
That's
all
right.
timed to their music, and I was like, ooh.
And it was back in the day when the only lights you could get were like those like stick lights that were just like
Yeah.
a line or whatever, and then
Yeah.
they had like just
All
a bunch
before
of them.
LED.
Yeah,
Before
it
the
was-
RGB
kinda stuff.
craze
Yeah,
of
yeah.
computer nerds in the
Yeah.
2020s. Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
And now you have like so many options. Like it's really cool and we had the entire pandemic to figure it out.
Yeah.
So that also helped.
So when the pandemic started, you guys were in Nashville.
Yeah.
You'd been there for a year or two at that point, I think.
5 years.
yeah.
Holy really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then you decided to maybe we get back north of the border, ride this
Yeah.
thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had every intention of going back. Like, we really love the city. But the longer we stayed in Canada, the more we were like, you know what? I do love summers that it doesn't get dark until midnight.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, every night at 6 p.m. it's, like, dark
Really?
in Nashville. And you're just like, it does something to you. When you grow
Yeah,
up in
people
this
talk
world.
about seasonal depression in Canada, but I felt more seasonal depression at like a 6 p.m. pitch black
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the summer.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
It was-
That's
yeah.
like honestly, as soon as we hit the solstice and I know we start losing daylight,
Yeah.
I immediately I'm like, oh man, the days are getting
Yeah.
shorter now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still like last night. I think it was still like 10:30.
Yeah,
it's still
it's
light
great.
out, but I'm already fearing where it's
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
I know. I totally feel you. I live for the sun, and their winters sucked also. So it
How
was,
did Tennessee winter suck though? Just because
Oh,
you're on
it's
the East
just
Coast?
gloomy. It's like
Yeah,
it's
just rainy.
overcast and rainy, and maybe
Right.
they'll get a bit of snow. Like nobody knows how to drive in Nashville.
Oh, if it
particularly.
snowed,
We just-
we're staying in.
yeah, we
we
would-
don't trust you.
How often would it snow though? Like
Oh,
that can't
a
be
few times
yeah,
a year.
okay.
right?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
would be
but-
like really like the worst that they struggle with is freezing rain. And so that's obviously like incredibly damaging.
Yeah.
But it's just so gloomy all the time, and there is no sunshine. And at least here in our winters, it's like minus 40, but it's like the sun is out.
You can see it
For a little while.
yeah.
most days of the week.
Yeah.
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 But
So-
it's just so Nashville tourism doesn't come at us.
But we loved it.
The food scene in
Yes.
Nashville is
food
incredible.
The
and-
hot
and
chicken,
the-
all the
and
food.
and the
yeah.
beer scene.
And the beer
Like,
scene as
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Oh man, there was
Yeah.
amazing like microbreweries that were so good. I mean, what other adjective can you use for that? Like,
Super great.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, the food was amazing, and it's a really cool, vibey city.
Yeah.
But
Very bad.
we were
I'd like
ready
to get
leave.
there.
Yeah, it's a
Someday.
bucket list
Someday.
city for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone needs to in their lifetime. It's a very unique situation, and everyone makes fun of Nashville because it is like bachelorette like destination, and every weekend, like if like you have to go to Broadway, you've got to go to all the like the bars and the jazz clubs and everything like that, but it's just packed full of tourism.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, you know, I was reading a social media post the other day about San Francisco, and it had a picture of Alcatraz, and it said, you know, prove that you're a true San Franciscan by saying you've never been here. And there's so many people that are like, yep, I was born and raised in San Francisco. I've never been to Alcatraz.
Yeah.
So it is just, I mean, those
I
places
agree.
are all going to be just tourists.
Yeah. I mean, everyone avoids Broadway mostly. Like it's because it's just hard to even maneuver anywhere around there.
Avoids but appreciates.
Yeah,
Like
of
that's the
course.
economy.
Like that's
Yeah,
where they
yeah,
get their
yeah.
money
Right,
from.
right.
It's-
yeah.
But they don't put the money towards public transportation, and so it's
Well, you're just going hard on them right
Oh
now.
man, well, it's because we live there. So
Let's
it was
dig
like-
into the issues of Nashville's infrastructure.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. They're really struggling, and I hope that they get their act together.
Do you think that because Tennessee's been in the news over the last couple of months with some pretty backwards laws, would that impact your ability to live there?
Oh, I mean, most people that we met while we were down there have since left.
Yeah.
Like it used to like it's. I don't know. It's the South, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much you can take before you end up just saying. Like, how many people have left California and moved to Texas? I mean, that seems to be, like, the biggest trend in the U.S. for a lot of reasons, like
Save
tax
money.
reasons especially.
Yeah.
And I think every state has their issue. I mean, I think that was kind of a big factor for us coming back to Canada, too, especially during the pandemic, is, like, it was just messy.
Who knows what
So
my
messy.
state is going to do as far as pandemic rules and regulations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then, so what it was, so you went from Nashville straight back to
here.
Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any thought at anywhere else? Like given, you know, I mean, the music can be done from just about anywhere now, but was there a thought of, you know, we have to be in a Vancouver, or we need to be in a Toronto, or we need to be in an LA?
We
I-
considered everywhere.
I think
Yeah.
because of our experience being in in Music City, we were kind of like, no, we don't need to be in Vancouver. We don't need to be in Toronto. Like everything can be done, via the internet.
Yeah.
And if we need to go there, we can fly in and save a ton of money on rent.
Yeah.
Right,
Like
yeah.
I mean,
it's
we were just
yeah,
talking
it's
about your friends
different.
like leaving Toronto because they can no longer afford, and we just spent time touring with band out there, and they're in the same boat where they're all living in downtown, and it's like, how do you even get the band together to do rehearsal?
Yeah.
When
Right.
it costs like how much money to even get to a rehearsal space,
And
how
pay
much
for a
time to
rehearsal
pay for a
space,
rehearsal
'cause,
space,
yeah.
how much to like even. It's just everything is costing so much more that we are very happy to.
But we grew up
to
here,
come
and
here.
we love Alberta.
And our family's here
our
too.
family.
Like
Yeah, it's
that's
huge.
like the biggest
Yeah.
thing for us as well. And but it was the house that brought us here.
I was
and
going to say,
we were
I think I
really-
remember talking to you saying that because I said like, why
why
there?
here?
And it's just you found the house
Found
that
the
was the house you
perfect
wanted,
house.
and
Yes.
Yeah.
there's space for a garden.
Yeah, space for
Yeah.
gardens, space for a studio, space for a dog.
Yep.
Space for the
I know,
dog.
that's number
Well,
one.
let's go ahead. Let's talk about Alfie.
Oh my gosh, Alfie is so cute. He's
Adorable.
I had a dog in when I was growing up in high school. However, I was too young to really take care of it and take any ownership, and I'm pretty sure the dog hated me at the time. So my relationship to dogs was that, and it was not a good relationship. Jared never grew up with a dog at all, and so when we decided to get a dog, which happened literally in a span of like 3 hours of like, yes, we're going to get this dog, and then we picked him up. We were just thrown into this whole big emotional mess of like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? Can we do this?
Yeah.
Like, and a part of my heart that I didn't know existed just opened up, and I just love him. I love him.
And
I
he's in
can't-
doggy daycare now.
He's a doggy
Yeah.
daycare, and I don't know if he likes
We're
it.
sad.
But you won't be able to get him tonight, right?
No, I'm
Oh.
They don't have
Banging on the door
Early
2 in
morning.
the morning.
So, and
artist
obviously
parent pickup.
you have to do doggy daycare somewhat regularly. I'm imagining being a touring band. So
We've
how
done it.
is
This is our second time.
We've
Okay.
avoided it
Oh.
by giving him to family as much as
Yes.
possible.
Yeah, yeah.
so the last time you did it, Did Alfie have a different behavior when you picked him up from doggy
no,
daycare?
No, he was good. He was
No
good.
attitude?
Yeah.
He was very excited.
You guys
to
are
be
lucky.
picked
I
up.
have my dog who normally when he sits in the back of my truck will face forward.
Yeah.
But whenever I get him from the kennel, he looks out the back window the whole way home. That's the only time he ever looks out the
Oh
back
my
window.
God.
He wants you to know.
He's not happy. Wants
I'm
me to
not
know.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You left me.
So you try to do that as
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, we try to do
as
it
possible.
sparingly. Yeah.
We just give him like treats and stuff. But we've given him to my parents' house. Like when we did our tour in Ontario, we were gone for 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks. And when we first went to pick him up, he was like very excited to see us, but then he kind of avoided us for like, I would say like the rest of the day. Like we drove through the night. Like we drove from, I think we stayed in where did we? No, we drove from Montreal all the way back to northern Saskatchewan.
Wow.
To pick up our dog, and he just was so excited, but then he's just like he has the same
Got
attitude
a little
where he's
shunning.
like,
He remembers the betrayal.
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
where have you
And then
been?
his commands were a little slower. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we're gonna get this back."
Yeah. Get that retention
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
again.
yeah.
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 Is 2023 an important year for you too? As Royal Foundry?
Are we in 2023 right
We
now?
are.
Okay.
We are.
I was
Okay.
like, "Yes, it's going to be a great year."
What day is it?
Do you
Yeah.
consider this a big like anniversary year?
It is an anniversary year.
anniversary
Is it not 10 years?
It is 10
Yeah,
years.
in a few months. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for reminding
So
me.
you haven't. That has not factored into your
Okay, we live and breathe and work together, so I feel like this is like we're microwaved our relationship and the band in a lot of respects. I feel like we've been together for 40 years. Anniversaries mean nothing to me.
in a good way. It's been a great 40 years.
This means nothing.
It's just
Nothing.
time. I don't. 10 years seems like a big number, though.
It does.
So what about for like? Do you celebrate birthdays? Is it just the anniversary stuff, or
I don't
what?
like birthdays.
Okay.
No,
Never
yeah,
liked
we're
birthdays.
pretty like we don't celebrate
We are,
anything.
Yeah.
We just have fun days together randomly.
We have too many fun days that
Yeah.
another day comes along and we were like, another one? Like, I'm exhausted from the last one that we did like 4
And then
months
it's like,
ago.
what did you do for Valentine's? And we're like, what?
Nothing.
Oh,
We didn't do
yeah, I mean
Wow.
that one's
Yeah.
was pretty lame.
Yeah.
Every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
But
time.
10
Yeah.
years, many years.
But now, so I just want to clarify. I'm talking 10 years of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah. I mean, we're working
feel
on new
bad.
music
yeah.
That was my next question. It's been
to release
13 months?
Not in 10 years.
10 years. Man, you're stressing me out on that.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
I'd say it's a decent time to reflect.
It is
Yeah.
a decent time.
I think you guys should feel pretty good, pretty proud about. I mean,
Well, I'm trying to think. When would we have first would have crossed paths? Probably like 2016, 17.
Yeah,
I
somewhere
think
around
would've been the
there we
first
would have
time,
been first doing radio.
2017 was our first album.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, our folk duo days
That was
were a
yeah.
blip. It was such a rando, unorganized, like, this is, like, we have a studio, let's write songs, and then, oh, we've got 10 of them, let's make an album. And it was just kind of this, like, I feel like it's almost like a haze. We were trying to figure out our way through, like, what we were going to do with our lives.
yeah.
And then for it to turn into something like this and never to have the conversation of like, let's get married and start a band and this is going to be our life. It was more of just like, well, we do music. I mean, I didn't even do music before I met Jared. So it's, I don't know, it's weird. 10 years.
It's wild.
So no singing before you'd met Jared. Like
I mean,
just
like,
No, you were singing.
like any girl would sing. Like,
Yeah.
Like in the shower.
My mom-
you know.
But you weren't
would-
doing like talent shows through high
No,
school,
no.
or
My mom would volunteer me to do things. Like
Beth's
for church
being
and
modest.
stuff.
She played Annie in the
Well, like High School Musicals.
Annie, Get Your
come
Gun?
on. I did that for.
Annie get you. Yeah.
I wish I was that cool.
Wait, Annie and what?
In Annie.
Oh, in Annie.
Like,
Okay, yes,
like a
yes.
musical for high school. Like high school doesn't count. Anything you do in high school is just like.
It's
Depends what high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some high schools take that
That's very
drama ship
true.
pretty seriously.
That's
Yeah.
True. I did it for the credits so that I could graduate half year early,
Oh, nice, nice.
which I did. So.
Well, congrats on 10 years of Royal Foundry.
Thank
Wow,
you.
thank you so much.
I think that's pretty cool.
10 years. Oh.
It's wild.
That's worth celebrating for sure.
Yeah.
And then, so how many years together then? Like that-
10.
So it's all started all at the same time.
All at
Yeah.
the same time. Yeah.
So you have to keep the band going.
I guess so.
Yeah.
What other
One
option do we
fails,
have?
the other.
So there's no.
They're intertwined. The fate
Yes.
of
Our lives.
the ring.
How much vaulting of stuff do you have? Like, is there stuff that you've recorded and haven't? Like, you could do a
Oh,
10th anniversary edition of
so many
much.
terrible
We
songs.
could release and ruin our
Oh
reputation.
my gosh. It would be an
in-
embarrassment.
In one night, yes.
No, we like
How often do you go back and listen to the stuff that you did when you first got together?
We should start doing that on the podcast.
I was thinking the same thing, honestly. Like
Playing
that's
our
with
bad
almost anything.
demos?
Yeah. Remember this
boy.
song?
we did that with like the albums.
Yeah.
Like our drive to Ontario, we also did in one rung, and it was
Rung.
I like
That's a
that.
rung.
I like that. It works.
like it.
It works.
Is that not the same?
It does work, yeah.
Close
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it?
I'm
one
always
rung?
adding G's to things too. So That's true.
But
yeah.
you do that to make fun of things.
No.
No, we listened to our album. It was like probably 2 a.m. We were driving through Chicago on our way to Ontario, and we listened to all of our albums one after the other. And I was like, I felt pretty good about like
That's gotta be
listening
nice.
back to it.
We were ready to be disappointed.
I
and
really
laughing,
was. I was
but,
expecting
yeah.
to be like shaking my head and cringing on the inside, but I was pretty happy.
I think
about
you're
it.
ahead of most there.
Yeah, that's. I feel like. Did you have to work yourself up to do that?
Oh, it took like
Yeah.
Years?
most of the trip. Well, I can't even tell you the last time we listened to it. Like
Yeah.
even this last album, like we played the songs like so
Yeah.
many times, but to listen to it from front to back, probably since we got our vinyl done, like that was the last time we probably listened to our full album.
Now you said something where we were just getting ready too that it kind of caught my interest a little bit. But you said you don't listen to music that much.
No.
That's
we
what you
try
picked
not
up on.
to. Yeah.
Well, it's because it's so interesting to me. And actually, I think
I think it is.
on one of your, I think the last tour blog video that you did for
Yeah.
this most recent tour, you talked about driving home, I think from Ontario with
Yeah.
no music, no podcasts. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I can
Oh,
barely
just
drive
silence.
to the town 15 minutes
Yeah.
away without having music going.
You
Oh,
guys can
yeah.
sit with your own thoughts pretty well, eh?
That's
Man.
insane.
That's impressive.
We can actually
There's
have a
enough
conversation.
noise going on. You play how many shows in a row,
Yeah.
and your brain is
Yeah.
just like fried, and you're like, and socially too, being
we
pretty
reflect.
introverted.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like, all right, let's just
We debrief even
like
after.
talk or just even sit in silence and just like have a moment. We don't always do that,
Which
but
I
it
get
was-
you can
it
do
was
through
really
most of
nice.
Ontario, but as you're coming across Manitoba and Saskatchewan, that's got to get a little dry.
Well, through the
Yeah.
U.S., it's a lot more scenic, but it is still like
Until
once you hit North Dakota,
yeah,
it's
then it's-
pretty
then
much
it's
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, yeah. Yeah.
No, we.
Now, do you work on ideas at all, or is it just a straight?
You know that is a great way that we've made it through the night before. We've driven through the night too many times, and it's dangerous, and we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But if we play voice memos, ideas we have,
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
it's like it gets your brain just firing,
Wakes you up
and
a
then
bit.
totally better than caffeine, and you're just like, oh, and what if we put that there, and what if that goes
Yeah.
there, and sometimes something comes together there.
That's
but-
like our special thing that we keep
Yeah.
as long as possible, so that when we're like in the wee hours
4
of the
a.m.
morning,
You're just
we're
like,
just
all right,
like,
crank it.
yeah, let's put this
Yeah.
on. But yeah, other than that, Jared and I, we don't really go to shows much either. Like we,
Well,
We-
you can't really nowadays. You guys aren't living in
It's-
very close
Yeah.
vicinity
Sure.
to
Yeah.
live shows.
Yeah.
But
I
even when
mean-
we were like, oh, yeah. I mean, if they were playing right outside of
Yeah.
my door, I would go.
yeah,
It's bad.
it's always
Yeah.
been like I'm pretty sure the last like concert that we paid for was Arcade Fire.
Yeah, it was.
in
and that was
Edmonton,
years ago.
probably 2018.
2018, something like
So
that. yeah.
we're really lame in that sense. Even Nashville. I mean, we got a lot of free tickets when we were in Nashville. So, but the amount of times that we actually got out was like embarrassingly not enough.
But self-described homebody, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is, and would you consider yourself? And I know, like we talk about this in radio all the time as well. That like radio is an industry that's filled with a lot of extroverted introverts. I find because it's the
Interesting.
same
That's a
thing,
great
right?
way
Like,
to
it
say
just
it.
seems
Yeah.
so strange to be up in front of hundreds, thousands of people
Yeah.
and be introverted. But I think
Yeah.
it's the same thing with a lot of musicians as well. It's just, it's the passion that you have. It's what you do. It's how you like to express yourself.
Yeah.
And it just so happens you do that in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
But that doesn't make you extroverted.
No,
No.
you just flip a switch and then and then you're exhausted the next day.
Yeah.
and- yeah.
So then, do you find? And I get this accusation from my wife quite a bit that I'm two different people.
Yeah, interesting.
Because I am when I'm at home. I'm the same way. I'm a homebody.
Yeah.
But then you can go out and MC an event or be at an event and talk to all these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get made fun of from our families a lot.
Yeah.
Like people who know us and they come to our show, which we hate, but they're always welcome.
But you have your
Like-
like show voice.
Yeah,
and,
like
and then
it's
you're
a
like,
performance.
That's
I mean,
not
it
how
has
you
to
talk.
be. We try it. Like we're pretty authentic, I think, in a lot of things, but there are things that we forcefully do for the sake of our.
If we
Performance.
spoke like how
Exactly.
we normally speak, it wouldn't be very
Oh,
engaging.
every single. It reminds me. Okay, we did when we were first married. We went to Tedeschi Trucks Band. At the Windsor,
yeah.
and it was probably one of the,
the
most
Windsor, yeah.
hilarious situations because.
First off, amazing band.
Oh.
We were
We
just talking about them an hour
about
ago.
Really?
before you guys got
Yeah,
on.
my
Okay.
buddy's
Yeah.
seeing them tonight in
Oh
Toronto,
my
I think.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
No, they're
Yeah.
amazing.
Incredible.
So good. Like and so fun. Like I don't know if they still do this, but they had like the whole brass section would just like walk off the stage and like come back with like a sandwich and just like back and forth because come do their little part and then they
Head back to the green
Oh,
room.
it was
and
just it was so chill
Yeah.
and it was so fun. But is it Tedeschi, the woman?
then,
Yeah.
Susan.
Susan
Tedeschi.
She,
Derek
she would
Trucks.
just wail, and
Oh,
it's
just her
beautiful voice,
voice.
so much rasp and power, and then the song would finish, and he'd be like, "Thank you," and it was two different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's like-
I'm pretty sure like
I loved it though.
that's exactly how
Yeah.
I would if I had like my own way up there. It would be like
Thanks.
A little more subdued.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Well, then, no, I mean, I think there's a certain value to keeping that energy for all aspects of the set instead
Yeah.
of just the songs.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Tedeschi Trucks is kind of a weird example because they're some of the most talented musicians
Oh,
in the
yeah.
world. They can do whatever the
Oh,
fuck
yeah.
they want.
They could do
Yeah,
whatever.
and it's also a sitting situation
Yes,
typically,
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
you're just like there to listen.
Very
You-
specific
you're not
crowd,
gonna be
too.
like rocking out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've purposely like designed our show to go from one song to the next very quickly
To avoid
to avoid
speaking.
speaking in between because that's not our strong suit and
No, I disagree. I can't remember what the story was that you told.
He
but
wants the
that
banter.
But that honestly, and I do love the banter.
Yeah.
But that show that you did in March, there was. Do you remember what it was? I remember you ended up having to talk for a little bit.
I'm always forced to talk and I never
was
am
great.
prepared. I have some of the most embarrassing situations when I have to talk because I once called a crowd superfluous because I was trying to think of a better word to use
Then
and
super. Yeah.
and like yeah, and I was just like trying to think on the spot and it just like I just get overwhelmed sometimes.
Yeah.
And then one time I had to share like one joke.
The
that I
funny
know.
thing though is half the crowd was like, "Yeah, we're
we
superfluous."
are. Yeah. So I've had really terrible moments that haunt me, and so every time I open my mouth, I'm like, I hope this goes well.
Is there anything you do before going on stage? Is there any like a routine
Yeah.
that you have to kind of get that
I-
switch done?
I look at Jared and I go, don't ask me to say anything. But I have to if he like breaks a string or something. I'm the
Yeah.
one
Right,
that's like,
right.
Yeah.
You're filling that
hey
time.
guys, how are we all feeling
It's
tonight?
the one thing that we've never prepared.
Yeah.
That we definitely
tried,
should.
And we tried. We were like, okay, this time we're going to be like, we're going to have these things memorized because we have to. We don't have the natural ability to just like take the crowd on a journey and a storytelling.
Here's
with,
my
like-
improv for a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I could see myself just starting to do an interpretive dance just to get away from talking in the mic. But
People wouldn't forget that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So I feel like every time's different. We have lucked out before in some ways, but Jared has also cut me off a lot of times too because I'll just take
You
like
know.
a left turn
With signals.
The
not-
old hook.
yeah.
Yeah.
Flash
Or
of
just start
lights.
playing
Oh,
playing her
yeah.
off like
We-
they do at the award shows.
We've been watching Matt Healy from 1975. He
Like, he
they
got in
always
trouble a
interrupt
couple
him,
times.
and it's like a bit that they have going. So he'll start to say a problematic sentence. So he'll be like, the thing about Asia, and then they go into lick
Like,
and just cut him off.
doo-doo-doo-doo.
And,
Yeah.
and it's this whole shtick. It's great. Yeah.
He seems to be riding that
Yes, he
shtick
is.
Yeah.
super
He's
hard.
very
this
much
year.
Yeah,
so.
it's pretty funny though. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we had to. You were talking about making your set fairly seamless. We had Daniel Romano here about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and it was a 55-minute set with no not a single
single
split second of break. It was
like
wild.
honestly, every song segued into the next. There was
Every
not even a
single song.
second
Yeah.
of silence. It just
Crazy.
kept 55 minutes straight through.
It looked exhausting.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
You need to have like a break at least. I feel like even as a viewer, and I don't like the only
True,
time
yeah.
I view is when we're on tour and we get to see incredible bands that either open or we open for them. And I always marvel at some of like the great in between songs. And it's kind of those moments, like those even mess ups to me, like I remember the most. Like especially if they turn it into this like funny thing, or if they have to restart a song, which was like what I feared most when we would play is like something goes wrong, you have to start over. But if you can turn it into something that is like a funny thing or whatever, I feel like just that like honesty of like, this isn't just like me karaokeing up here. Like,
Yeah.
we're
You want to pull it
actually-
away from being like a Las Vegas,
like production
Production
where nothing goes
show,
wrong.
yeah.
To
But
Totally
it's the same. If
scripted.
I wanted to hear,
Yeah.
then I could just stay at home and listen to
Yeah,
the
exactly.
CD. I was just at a show a couple of weeks ago where the singer, like, he started the song with the third verse, and he got about a third of the way through that verse, and he's like, "Hold on a minute. I started with the third verse. Let's go back. I just did that so you guys know we're not playing tracks."
Yeah.
And then started the song over again and carried
Who
it.
was
And I
this?
love that. It was
Yeah.
Jason Isbell.
Oh, okay.
Like, and I love that. And I would say 9 times out of 10, most of the audience doesn't realize this.
Oh, yeah.
You guys know, but most of the audience isn't going to have any clue.
Yeah, I've mumbled my way through quite a few
Jared
lyrics.
has mumbled his way through life. There's still one song that I'm nervous to
Oh, we
win
got to
tonight.
look it up.
Like I'm like
Yeah.
I stare at Jared and I'm like, read my lips. These are the lyrics. Like sing them
And
with
it's
me.
like if you hear the one word, you're good.
yeah.
You're good.
But then it's just Jared's gotten really good at just mumbling on stage,
Fake it till you make
It's
it.
an art, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
or just looking really emotional about it. Like, oh, I just,
Some of the best do it. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Well-
you talked about Nashville and the brewery scene, and
Yeah.
Patrick, you're probably dreading this part, but
No,
you do some
keep-
home brewing. I want to hear
Yeah.
about Jared's home brews.
Yeah.
And when do you bring some up for sampling?
Ooh.
He's got some bombs for you.
Yeah.
I got some bottle bombs for you. My last brew, which was a backyard brew, I used everything that grows in our backyard.
Cool.
So we have some mystery hops. We don't know what they are because there's like thousands of varieties of hops.
Yeah.
So you'd need to take it to a lab or whatever. And then, choke cherries and raspberries and sour cherries, and did this this stout, I don't know, kind of like stone fruit stout kind of thing. And it was really good, but I forgot to pasteurize it, and it blew up. One day I went down in the basement and I saw one bottle, and I was like, that's strange. I don't remember that falling over.
Yeah.
And then I saw another a week later, and I was like, oh, shit.
And you didn't hear it because it can be pretty loud when they pop, right?
Yeah, but I didn't hear it because it must have happened in the night or
Yeah.
whatever. So then I brought up all 50 bottles, went outside, stripped down to my underwear. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Just start cracking them all. Oh,
and-
my God.
And I went so slow, and I got but I still got hit in the face by probably 20 of them were just all foam.
I have some pretty good footage of it.
It was a time.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of learning. It's infinite learning, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And half of them are terrible, but you're proud
Yeah.
that you did it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
At that, I mean, it's got to be. Remember when maybe you can still buy them, but you could buy those 2-liter brew at home kits in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
convenience store or
Yeah.
a gas station.
Yeah. Oh,
Come a
they've
long
got
way.
so many kits
Come a long
now.
way.
Yeah.
Way.
But it's fun sourcing your own stuff and just trying it out. And
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
When are you gonna start doing that? I'm shocked.
That question has been asked a lot.
Yeah.
But the problem for me is time.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just to
Yeah.
find the time to actually get
Yeah.
it and to do it properly as
Yeah,
well. So
yeah.
I don't have to be out in the front porch in my underwear.
Yeah, Walter White style.
Sampling your own, are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to maybe Pete. will
Maybe
get to
someday.
sip
We
on it
actually did.
someday.
I had a guy that I work with. His wife had bought him a kit
Yeah.
years ago because we have a store here in town, so they'd done it on location through the radio station. She bought him the starter kit at that time. We're like, yeah, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say that was probably 6 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
Maybe 5 years
Yeah, yeah.
ago. So
You can get way better kits now.
I bet you probably,
Oh, yeah.
probably could.
Yeah, they got good stuff.
But I'll just sample yours. And then
Yeah.
that's
I'll
it.
bring it next time.
Do they have brewery stores like they have pot growing stores now?
Not
like
that-
brew supply stores.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That
they're
is
all
I think
over.
there's 2 in town.
Yeah.
Oh, are there?
Here.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they,
but what about
it's
growing your own
most,
hops?
most of the wine stores have converted into
sure,
because it's
okay.
less wine is it's kind of going down a bit, but
Yeah.
Because you're with growing your own hops, like
Yeah.
you've got to have like 9 feet of space, right?
Yeah.
No, you don't have to. I would like
Oh.
to do it that way.
Yeah.
The house that we got just had hops growing on it, and it's all over our
Our
fence.
entire fence is just
And
like
so
we just
started
all
picking
these
'em.
vines, and then they're
Oh,
creeping up
just-
all over
yeah.
everywhere else too.
But I have seen a lot of people with the great rig where they got it going up, and
Yeah.
then
And
they
you can,
take
like,
their little
pulley
pulley and bring it
system.
all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do that. Yeah.
Cool.
Because right now it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's pretty, but
It's
you
very
know,
pretty.
Yeah.
It's very
Okay, I'm gonna next time I've got a trip south.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
might
swing
be
it
knocking
through.
on your door.
Yeah.
Just give him one of those mystery the
Yeah.
bottles that might blow up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I dare you to open the vehicle.
Well, we're very excited for your set tonight with the Strumbellas here at Bose.
Yes, we
it
are
was
too.
a pleasure hanging out with you guys.
Likewise.
As
Yeah.
always.
And so new music kind of up
Yeah.
here for right now.
4 a.m.
Uh,
voice
it's
like
memos.
2024 probably.
Yeah,
Yes,
2024,
yeah.
Cool.
maybe 2023. We'll see. But
Maybe
yeah.
a single might
Maybe.
drop. Maybe.
Maybe.
Depends on how organized we are.
Yeah.
Keep being you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Peter Michaels,
Patrick
the
Bateman.
Royal Foundry.
Follow Communal Creative Studios on the YouTube.
On
Do the
YouTube.
subscribe, the liking, all that kind
Comment.
of stuff. Comment, share.
Check it out.
And we'll be back with another episode.
One Wednesday.